Hi. I think we have a couple people in the room already. I'm just going to get my computer set up so I can watch the chat at the same time as we discuss things. But here we go. Almost there. There we go. I have the chat up. And we'll get going on things here in the next few minutes. And tonight's herb of the week, for those of you guys who are watching this after the show, herb of the week today is borage. So we'll be discussing that along with a few other topics. Mike is not with me tonight, so he has a lot of work to do because we have a big event next weekend. So I think there's a few people joining in. We'll let a few more join and get started in the next minute or two. Oh, Finite World's here, and the Living Garden. Hello, both of you. I think my computer has a little delay on this, but that's all right. So we'll let a few more people join. I was very last minute in getting Herb of the Week up on the webpage and everything set. We've been very busy this week. It's kind of crazy because we have a big event next weekend for the business and a big wine festival that's in town, the wine not tasting, and we have a booth for the pasta business at that. So Mike will not be joining us tonight because of having to make about 200 pounds of pasta in the next 2 days so it can dry before next Saturday. So he's a bit busy at the moment. But we'll get into things. Get to the farm. Hello, hello. So we're just letting a few people join in. Oops. Hello, Creating Essence. How are you today? It was a gorgeous day outside today. For those of you guys in Michigan, it was in the 40s. It was a little windy, but it was actually really nice. So we do still have flooding. I'm hoping not many of you guys do. Thank you for linking the website. The herb of the week, I think, went up like 10 minutes ago on the website because I've been quite busy today, and really I only had about 2 hours to put into it, where I usually put like 4 or 5 hours into all the research behind that. So we did get it done though. But that's why I'm going to be changing the schedule up a little bit on the live shows in the future. Excuse me, I keep losing my voice today. So we will be going over borage today, and you could click on the link and pull that up. I'll go over that in a few minutes. Let a few more people hopefully join in the show to watch the show today. But there have been some other things. We did get one video up with the craziness this week. I had a whole bunch of random flock footage from all winter that, some fun stuff that just didn't really fit into any other particular video since I don't really do dailies. I had put some of it up on Instagram. So some of you guys, if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen some of the footage. But we had a Crazy Chicks video. The most recent one that went up that has, anything from, yes, Crazy Chicks on the Homestead. Mike wanted me to call you that something different, which would have sounded a little bit too risque, but it's really just flock footage. A little bit of the chicks, new hatchlings. They are a week old now, so they're starting to get some wing feathers growing in, and they're very active right now. Hi, Tiny Hilltop Food Forest. Hello, hello. Welcome. But yeah, so the chicks are very active. I have a little bit on them. I have more of the geese being silly in their pools and more on the chickens being a little goofy too. So had some excitement with mouse in the chicken run at one point in that. So if you watch all the way through that video, you'll get to see what happens when you have a mouse in the chicken run. It was kind of funny. Anyway, so we had that go up this week. Today, I've been working most of the day on tapping our maple trees and our one walnut tree. So that took most of the day, which is when I usually work on my research. But I did leave a couple hours for the research for the herb of the week today, but that's why the web page got updated like 10 minutes ago, because I literally just finished putting that together. So we'll get into that as well, but just to let you know, there will be a video on the maple syrup tapping probably in the next week, hopefully, if I can have time to put that together. Our main holdup right now is with the business, because actually my father-in-law's in town. He's working on construction of our new kitchen for the business, and Mike is not joining us tonight because he is actually having to make 200 pounds of pasta in the next 2 days because he needs to dry before next weekend when we have a booth at the Wine Knot Festival. Hi, Rose. Hello, hello. I'm glad you're here. We were going to talk about Borage today, but I guess you probably don't have time to stick around. I understand that. But, yeah, so just to go over that a little bit, he is currently downstairs making pasta as we speak. And my father-in-law is working on the ceiling in the new kitchen as we speak. So if you hear some background noise, that's pretty much what's going on. I do have the door closed, so hopefully it won't be too loud. Hey, Wendy. You're not that late. We were just getting going. I usually give a few minutes for people to arrive in here. And Suburban Hillbilly, awesome. Look at, yes. Yes, being busy is a blessing, but yeah, it's so I'm hoping, my hope is to get this one video out this week, besides this live show, because it's definitely going to be busy this week. As far as the live shows go, starting next week, because of all these events, I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to do research on herb of the week. I'm going to switch. I think I'm actually going to keep it as a herb of the week, but I'm not going to do all the medicinal side except for once a month. So what we'll do is more plant identification and whether it's edible or not for basically 3 of the 4 live shows. And then we'll get 1 plant a month where I'll do more of the research on the medicinal side, and some of the current research on what's going on. And Helix just joined us. Let's keep the tail down, okay, Kat? So trying to see if I missed anything else in there. But yeah, so what we'll do for next week. I do have some pictures of various things, and guess what's coming up already? Oh, wait. Maybe I should make you wait until my next video. Or should I give you a sneak hint? I did find something edible next to one of our maple trees that I was tapping, which was kind of fun. I'll just go ahead and say it. But maybe we'll do an identification on this. But spring onions are coming up, which is kind of cool because it's still February in Michigan. So there are some things growing already, which is fun. And we're going to be in the 50s the next few days. So I'm expecting even some of my things under my hoops might start growing a little bit more because they've been holding for now. And I have that one hoop with, some spinach and some pak choi and other things still in there. I haven't taken a close look at it. I peeked in a little bit today, but not really close look at the whole thing. Some of those plants were wilting a bit because of the cold, but that was mainly the not as cold hardy ones, like the romaines. They're still in there. They're still alive, but they're a little wilty and not liking the freezing temperatures at this point. We're going to get down to freezing tonight, but tomorrow's going to be warm. In fact, warm enough that I will have to open up that hoop because it's going to be in the 50s tomorrow and sunny. So I don't want to make it 80 something under the hoop. That would not be good. I don't need to burn out my cold hardy plants here. But anyway, we still have stuff in there. But we did find now spring onions. Some people have garlic chives, but I believe these are actually spring onions. And we get tons of them around here, so that's kind of fun. Might have to harvest some, and maybe we'll do a quick spring onion thing next week and get some pictures up on the webpage. And of course, there's lots of uses for that one that you guys could probably think of offhand, but maybe we'll do something more interesting. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just checking to see. We've got a number of people in the room. We'll go ahead and get started on the herb of the week, and then we'll come back to some other things. That way, if those of you who are primarily here to see the herb of the week thinking we could do that first, I'm just pulling it up so I can look at my notes, because don't expect me to memorize everything. Although I do remember it a lot better, and I'll remember a lot more, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing it. If you talk about it and write about it, and as well as look it up and read it, my whole goal is to remember what some of these uses are. So this is kind of my memory tool so that we can go from here. And so the herb of the week this week is borage. And just a reminder, I'm not a physician, so I'm not condoning specific medicinal uses. I'm just writing down on my webpage what I've learned about it and what I've found research on. I do have access to medical journals, so I can post that information. But if you look in the description below, there's a link to the webpage, or if you scroll up, if you've been here in the room long enough, Finite World did link the webpage in just up a few minutes ago. So, yeah, it's the Part-Time Permies webpage on the Wix site. So anyway, for borage, I'll ask you guys a question first. Any of you guys grow borage? Have you, because you can get seeds, borage seeds. You can, it also reseeds itself fairly well. Okay, so Bree says, oh, I don't know if I saw you before. Hello. Says, yes, she grows it. So it is a great, it creates really pretty flowers that attract pollinators nicely. So they are great in your vegetable garden to attract pollinators. But if you look, and Wendy said no, but this year hope so. That's cool. I did grow some for the first time last year, and I plan on growing some more this year. We had a few plants take off last year, and I just direct seeded last year. I just scattered the seeds and probably got about 4 or 5 plants from it. You know, I didn't do anything special with them, but I was just kind of seeing what took off, and that took off pretty well even in our very dry season last year. So borage, by the way, is in the same family as plants like comfrey and lungwort and things along those lines. It's also called star flower because it kind of has this star appearance on the flower with the petals, kind of pointy petals. And so if you look at the picture, you can kind of see that a little bit. It's native to the Mediterranean, so it's not native, it's Southern Europe all the way around the Mediterranean, the Middle East and things. So it's not really native to most other parts, but since it's planted in many places, it's actually started taking off and naturalizing to those areas, but it can be a little bit invasive, so you do want to watch that, but it really spreads by reseeding itself. Yes, the young leaves and the flowers are edible, and there's a lot of fun stuff you could do with them. It actually tastes kind of like a subtle cucumber flavor, which was kind of nice, actually. In fact, we went out to eat yesterday at a restaurant locally, and made me think of this because their water, instead of putting lemon in the water, they put a slice of cucumber in the water, which actually tastes pretty good. but you can do the same thing with the leaves of this plant. Yeah, definitely has cucumber flavor on that. It does grow a couple feet tall, 2 to 3 feet. Mine kind of fell over a little bit. They got a little top heavy in my garden last year, but I didn't have much around them. And I don't have it in here, but I did read that they actually do help support other plants and good companion plants. I'll look more into it, but things like tomatoes and things like to grow with borage near them. I'm not sure if that's because they attract the pollinators really nicely, or if there's other reasons for that as well. But it does tolerate poor soil conditions, so if you have a new garden, it should grow pretty well, even if you haven't built up the soil much yet. The entire plant is actually covered in like a fuzzy hair, and as it gets bigger, that could get a little more coarse, but it's really soft for the most part, and blooms for most of the summer. So you can pick the blooms, you can pick the young leaves, probably best when it just starts blooming. The way you could do cooking wise, obviously the leaves and flowers are the things that you pretty much use. You can make a herbal tea, which is best if you have it cold. It's very refreshing. And there is a combination that I pulled from one of the books I have that you combine the borage with lemon balm and rose petals for herbal tea, and that sounded actually really good because it's just that combination of the lemon flavor with the cucumber. Sounds really refreshing. So a nice herbal iced tea, I would say, would be nice. You could put chopped leaves into butters and salads and soft cheeses, a whole lot of different things. You can mix with other herbs for an omelet. You can add it to the cooking liquid for beans and peas and other root vegetables primarily. There are people who will dip it in batter and fry it, which sounded pretty good. I might have to try that at some point. You could cook it in soups. There's a traditional Italian, I don't even know how to say it, but I put the region on on my webpage, ravioli, where they put in the ravioli filling. So that's pretty good. I just missed a couple. Oh, Living Garden, hello. And grew borage from seed last year in containers. Cool, that way it doesn't spread as easily, especially if the containers are on a patio or some sort. Didn't use it for anything, just planted it as pest control. Yeah, now I'll keep going because there's some give and take on how much you should actually eat, but it has traditionally been eaten for a long time. The flowers, you can candy them or eat them fresh and use it in salads or drinks. You can flavor wine and vinegar with it, and they've used candied flowers in baked goods as well in the past. So as far as getting down to the traditional medicine and how it's been used, kind of the oldest use that I saw documented was as an antidepressant. I didn't actually see too much. Now, again, I was limited in time this week, but I didn't really see too much on the studies about its use as an antidepressant. But really, they used to sell it as a pick-me-up. So along those lines. It's also been used as anti-inflammatory, decongestion. Well, decongestion and anti-inflammatory you could get congested because you're inflamed. So expectorant, reducing blood pressure, things along those lines. Hi, Singleman. Okay, cool. So we're just going over borage for those of you guys just joining. I hope I didn't miss too many. I'm going back and forth between web pages. So yeah, couple warnings. One, it should not be used during pregnancy. So if you're taking it as a supplement, that's not something, because they do sell borage oil supplements. You should not use that during pregnancy. And of course, if you're actually foraging for borage, it can be confused with some types of foxgloves. I believe that's more around the Mediterranean area that that particular type is found. So if you're like in Italy or something like that, there has been cases of poisonings because people confused borage. They thought foxglove was borage, digitalis purpurea. So also like live stream by myself, yes. Yeah, it is difficult sometimes to try to keep the information going, but it's helpful if you guys chat with me, so we can keep the discussions going. So yeah, not good, Noah's Ark. No, you want to make sure if you're foraging and you think it is borage, you want to be sure of it. Now, I don't have foxglove on our property, so I don't have any pictures of it to compare it to, but you want to make sure you look that up, especially from my understanding, especially around the Mediterranean. I've actually not found borage wild, but I've planted it, so I know it's borage, so that's a different story. As far as research goes, borage oil is really high in gamma linolenic acid, or GLA, and it's actually got one of the highest percentages of GLA in any plant. And GLA is important because it actually, well, it has a lot of effects. It's probably part of the anti-inflammatory effect. There have been studies for rheumatoid arthritis and for even atopic dermatitis that GLA and borage oil reduces the inflammation. There's some preliminary studies saying that GLA reduces the liver toxicity associated with radiation therapy. Now that's animal studies on rats. So I haven't noticed, and that's actually pretty new. I think that was a study published in 2017. So I haven't seen any human studies on that yet, but might look where that goes. I did see something talking about use of the entire leaves or flowers and the edible parts of the plant. If you take it as a whole, in some preliminary lab studies, it seems to reduce the rate of tumors and helps prevent DNA damage, which also leads to cancer. So that does seem to have some protective effect there. Now, the one thing that you will see, and this is anything in the Borage family, which includes comfrey and all that, is that borage does have what I'm going to murder the word, but perlazidine alkaloids, so certain type of alkaloids or PAs, and N oxides, and those, there have been quite a number of studies showing that those are hepatotoxic, so they cause problems for the liver and they increase the risk for cancer. So I did find a couple studies that compared the amounts of PAs and N oxides in a variety of plants. And yes, borage did have some in the leaves and in the flowers and the part that are edible, but it was relative to other plants like comfrey has a lot of it. Borage actually has a very low amount. So it is kind of interesting there. Yes, foxglove, sorry, going back to the comments here. Foxglove is digitalis, but there's a variety of types of digitalis. So the one that borage has gotten mixed up with, that I saw in a bunch of medical reports, was the digitalis purpurea, which is just one type of foxglove. Yeah, foxglove is, you don't want any pets eating it. You don't want to eat it yourself. It is a strong narcotic and can cause death. So it is, better be safe on that. So if you know what to plant, and I believe it has, foxglove basically has the same small blue flowers, but it doesn't have that little pattern that kind of star patterns of the leaves, the green sticking out. So there is a difference, but they look similar. So you just have to know what it is. Grandma D, what herb would you take for neuropathy? You know, I'm just doing research on plant by plant. So I'm not one who would recommend any specific treatments. But if you want to take a look through some of my previous herb of the week, so you could take a look to see if any of them have any studies on neuropathy. So I don't have any specific. I'm not a physician, and I'm not along those lines. I'm just doing research on one plant at a time, so I learn about it and teach you as I learn, basically, is what I'm doing. So if Rose is still in the room, she may have some idea. She does a lot of foraging herself. Yeah, good to know how it compares to comfrey. So comfrey, I mean, some people will eat a little bit of comfrey, but it has a lot more of those alkaloids in them, and that's why it's not very good for the liver and stuff. So that's why a lot of people say don't. You just have to be careful with it. But it's in the same family. It does have some alkaloids in it. It's just a lot lower amount. And what I thought was just kind of comparing that information to some of the studies about using the whole leaves and whole flowers, which have the alkaloids in them, but they also have a high amount of GLAs, which look like the studies, they've kind of been counteracting each other. Like GLA has been shown to reduce hepatotoxicity, at least in radiation studies, and then the PAs increase hepatotoxicity. So there may be some balance in that, but you know, it's preliminary research. So I did list all of that in there. Yeah, you only get one liver. You do. You only have one liver. You have two kidneys. You have one liver. And it is a filter organ, so it does filter out a lot of these things. So, hello, Jerome. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much gone through all that information, but it has traditionally been eaten for a long time and been used in traditional medicines for a long time. So it is kind of a balance on that. One respect, if you're not eating a whole lot of it and it's just a part of, you know, some of your meals or your teas and things, then it's probably not as big of a deal as if you're eating a huge amount of it. But then again, we got to look at it as a whole, and there's a lot of different components to it which might actually help balance things out. So, and I did actually, the interesting thing, and don't even ask me which video it is, but one of my gardening videos from late summer, I showed the borage that I had in bloom and kind of mentioned that you can eat the leaves and the flowers, but I did have a comment on that video saying, yes, but it's hepatotoxic. And again, that's because of the alkaloids in it. But again, in limitation, it's probably not as big of a deal. And then again, are we balancing out those chemicals? So, kind of interesting to see. Yeah, everyone's tolerance is going to be different. So, and that's true for anything. Extremely sensitive to certain medications, absolutely. Some are more sensitive to certain plants. And then we're not even talking allergies with that. So it is good. I mean, it has to go person to person with it, although you can talk in generalities when you have bigger studies to say, do you see increases in this activity in general over time? We're not talking individuals when you're talking studies. You're talking percentages. So, but that way, and you do, like in lab studies, you are looking at, on the cellular level, how it works. So, yes, everybody's different, but generally our bodies work very similarly. Okay. Always had borage in her garden. Yeah. Never saw it on the table. Sorry, I need to bring my my screen a little bit bigger here. Can't read it. This is single band. Okay. Yeah, comfrey is very useful. I do know a few people who eat it, but I do not. Including old Alabama gardener tasted it right on TV, on YouTube, when he was being interviewed at one point. But again, it's amounts as well. It's not something I would eat because there's too many PAs in it, but it does make a great garden plant, great for a whole lot of things. I'm just trying to see if I missed any other comments as I went. Okay. Scrolling back, so give me a moment here. I don't have my normal partner here to fill in the silence as I try to read. And it's hard to read and talk at the same time. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I mean, suburban hillbilly. That goes for anything new, if any new foods or anything. I mean, basically, if you start with small portions and see where it goes. Yes, and OAG, Old Alabama Gardener, is awesome for information. Hello, Bobblehead. How are you? The name doesn't sound very appealing. What about its other name? Its other, oops, I have too many windows open. Its other name is a starflower, right? Yep, starflower, because the flower looks like a star. You could call it starflower if you want. Trying to see if there's anything else I missed. And hey, Jeff, I saw that you found your eggs. Yay! You can have eggs now. So anybody, yeah. Basically, you know what I've been doing recently, by the way, just to help out all the small guys, small YouTube channels. If you go through everybody in the chat, I do it at the end of my live show. I'll go through and see if make sure I'm subbed to everybody to help each other out. So, anyway, so that's basically it on the Borage, unless there's other questions. It's definitely gorgeous in the garden. It's got such a fuzzy, I like the leaves. They're so fuzzy and soft. Starflower salad, yes. Although that was a little bit of a tongue twister. I almost couldn't say that. Oh, here you go, Jeff. Make omelet, and you can put a little bit of your starflower leaves into your omelet, and it tastes a little bit cucumbery. You were doubting if they were still laying. If anyone hasn't seen Jeff at Bobblehead Homestead's videos recently, he has his wild chickens. He finally figured out where they were laying, which is kind of cool. They probably just started back up, I bet, with the days getting longer. Yeah, it is a pretty flower. Okay, so, I mean, the other thing I was going to go through, because I did on my not on my webpage, on my Facebook page. So I do have a Facebook page and group. And I always forget which one is which as far as what you can do on which one, because they're both called part-time Permies. But if you go there, there is a questionnaire that asks what types of things you're interested in for the live shows. Because what we're going to be doing, I've been doing this herb of the week thing all winter, but this usually takes me 5 or 6 hours of research to pull it together for this nice little 20-minute discussion on it, plus my full hour of live show. So I do ask on there, what types of topics are you interested in? So if you're not already a part of that, feel free to request to be a member. The links to both my group and my page are below. And don't ask me, one of them you can discuss things back and forth easier, and the other one is more for updating people. One's more business oriented and one's more discussion oriented. I can never remember which is which as far as the page versus the group. But the one where you could discuss things is the one where I have the survey. So you can always put on there, because what we do on our channel in general is we do a lot with, I have a cat trying to reach up, sorry. We do a lot with chickens and the flocks and building coops and things along those lines. We do a lot of gardening, and we're working towards 4-season gardening in Michigan. We do a lot of foraging and things, as well as cooking. Now, the cooking is all my husband. So if you haven't met Michael, if you haven't been here before, he's the one to answer the cooking questions. But today he is making pasta for his business. So yeah, the cat's like reaching up, so reminding me to pet him, I think. So, okay, I'm just checking to see if I missed anything. But basically what I'm thinking about doing is having kind of a different general topic each week of the month for our live show. And we could discuss whatever, but if, say, one week it might be mainly chickens, and another week it might be some cooking questions and more of a discussion for Mike, and another week is gardening related, and then another week is the foraging herb. Maybe we'll do a medicinal herb that week. But what I will do is, I think we'll keep herb of the week, but it'll be more of a quick identification of something that's you can forage that's edible. And then once a month, we'll go in more detail on one that might be more medicinal and what we have information-wise on that. But if you answer to those questionnaire, that'll let me know kind of where your interests fall, if there's anything we should be leaning more towards on more topics that way. But I have gotten some good responses on the herb of the week thing. And that way I could keep, the herb of the week going on my webpage as well. But 3 out of the 4 weeks or 5 weeks will be more just plant identification and whether or not you can eat it. So I actually read through my comments. I haven't been reading the comments. Yes, I know Jeff lost number 4. Uh-oh. Someone's accusing you of eating number 4. That's not good. Maybe one of your cats. Maybe not. They're full grown. I don't think a cat will get them. And yes, number 4 was special. Number 4 is the 4th in line of his chickens. 4 chickens. I'm laughing at Single Man's comment. Dogs have owners, cats have slaves. Yeah, cats are a little more independent and, no, both can be demanding. I've had giant dogs who were pretty demanding for attention. If you guys have seen any of my videos from before October, Jello, my Great Dane, was in most of those, but he passed away this fall. But if I had started doing live shows while I still had him, his face would be right here, and he'd be pushing my arm up so I could pet him. So talk about demanding. But cats are a little more independent. Yeah, you like that identification idea? I think that would just take me less time. So I've missed a lot of discussion in here, so I apologize. I'm probably not going to go back to it. But if you had something you want me to notice, please just repeat yourself. It's not a big deal. Sorry to go off topic. Does anyone know a hardy tomato that grows well in Florida? Mom has no luck growing them. That would not be a question for me. I've had gardens in Michigan. I've had gardens in New York. Maybe some others would have some ideas who are in the room. I could tell you some that I liked growing and we had good luck with in Michigan and in New York, but they're similar. We're very similar growing zones here. I do like, as far as cherry tomatoes, by the way, my favorite cherry tomato, and when I had a St. Bernard, his favorite tomato was the black cherry tomato. It's really sweet, super good. We do, for aroma style tomato, we tend to grow Amish paste. They tend to grow very well, and they're great for sauces and things like that. And then we've been playing around with some beefsteak style tomatoes, German Johnson. We've done, oh gosh, a whole variety, and I'm trying to remember what they all are now, but okay. So I'm going to go back a little bit because I feel like I missed something else. Yeah, Bobblehead has his set of cats too. He's been adopted by very many animals in that area. I don't think he adopted them. I think they adopted him. But that's kind of cool. You should have some mouse control with those 3 cats around. Okay, I'm just trying to see if I missed anything else. Yes, aim high. You'll have to try the black cherry tomatoes. They're awesome. Yeah, there are some Florida channels, so you'll have to check them out. But yeah, the problem is with tomatoes is you can have, well, a whole variety of things. Last year we had the hornworms, and the year before we had hornworms, and I've never had hornworms before, or tomato worms, or tobacco worms, or whatever you want to call them. Basically all attack the same plant and eat the entire thing, all the leaves, and strip the whole thing. There's not many things that can eat tomato leaves. They're kind of poisonous. Backyard Eden in Texas, do great there. I'm wondering if there may be some issues with tomato blight in Florida because of all the humidity. We do get humid here in Michigan too, and sometimes get it here, but Florida is even more so with the heat. Yeah, aim high. You'll have to go. You can watch from the start and go through the borage. You can also go to my webpage, which the link is down below in the description, and I summarize basically everything on that webpage that we talk about. And that's kind of what I'm reading as my notes. Helix, why are you jumping? That's what I'm reading as I go through the beginning of this. So that's kind of, you can take a look at that. Oh, you know who else you can ask? Aim high. You can ask old Alabama Gardener. I bet you he's a little bit north of Florida, but he probably knows what best grows in the South. And he's great with, and for that matter, you could ask Rose from Wholesome Roots, because, she's outside in Georgia, I think south of Atlanta, so a little further south in that area. So those would be great people to ask about tomatoes. And she does a lot of gardening. And she's not just about goats. Trying to see if there's anything else here. Okay, I missed something in there about Grizz. Okay. Anyway, yeah, Grizz jokes around a lot, but no killing my kitties. Is that Grizz or is that someone else? I forget now. Yeah, he's whoever does the thumbs up or he'll whack the kitty. Not my cat. Okay. Okay. No, I'm just glancing at things here to make sure I didn't miss anything else. So yeah, I think what we'll do next week, I'm going to keep it simple next week. And probably we will do the live show next week on Sunday. But I will have to do it more of a quick question and answer, and something easy for me to identify forage-wise, maybe as the herb of the week. I do have a whole bunch of pictures of various plants last year, because usually when I go on walks in the woods with my dog at the time, I would take pictures of anything I saw growing, whether I knew it or not, and just develop a catalog of pictures, which is Helix is attacking my hand now, which is where I get my pictures for my website. They're all pictures I've taken. In fact, I don't have any special camera either. I take them on my cell phone and I edit them in Lightroom and in Photoshop and put them on the webpage. So I will go through some of those and see what I have, but we do have some things starting to grow because it's been warm really early. Okay. Is Suburban Hillbilly taken off? Wait, what is that? I missed something in that whole discussion when everything went back and forth. But okay. Hope not. Hope there wasn't a problem here. You guys, I know I missed that whole discussion and I didn't find out what instigated the full thing, but I know it was about between Grizz and it looks like Suburban Hillbilly, so hope there wasn't anything bad there. And please come back and join us for our live shows. If there's anything that's a problem, please just send me a message and let me know what was going on. But, okay. Yeah. Okay. No one said anything wrong. Okay, thank you, Noah's Ark. But, yeah, so, in fact, if you guys, because it's 8:45, we still have 15 minutes left. We've gone through a bunch of things. For those of you guys who weren't here right at the very beginning, we do have a video up from this week that was really just a montage of various flock videos I've collected from all winter, just to put them together because they never really made their way into my regular video rotations, although some have made it onto my Instagram. So I will sometimes post little short videos or pictures on Instagram. If you guys want to keep up with, especially like as the chicks grow, I will keep posting pictures of the chicks on Instagram and the different flock things, or if there's something funny going on while I happen to be outside taking care of the chickens and the geese, I will put something on Instagram using my cell phone. Sometimes it's live, just at spur of the moment. And sometimes I will do a video and just post it on there a few minutes later. And yeah, the chicken video, the flock video, was basically a montage of a lot of those little clips put together to music. So I had, I think, one person who said that the music was too loud. So I hope it wasn't too loud. A few other people said they liked it, so I don't know. But I don't usually put music over my talking in many videos. I did on that one only because it was more for entertainment than the talking. So educational ones, I try not to do that so much. Yes, the chicken video does have some funny bits to it. Single man, if you have a dog and cat that are bonded, you don't need a TV. True. I've had 2 giant dogs, and in the past I had 2 cats. Helix is the only one I have left of those 4. But all 4 of them came from New York with me. And Helix loved his dogs, but they were hilarious. And he wouldn't run from them. Like, the dogs would bark at him, and he would just lay down on the ground, and Jello would mouth him. And it was like Helix would start purring like he was being pet by the dog. Kind of crazy. I wish I was, caught some of that on video, but I haven't. Yeah, too much serious stuff in the world. That's why I like to kid around. Yeah, and, just finding humor in your animals is just fun, which is why I put that video montage together. Because, like I said, it didn't really fit anywhere else in some of my other stuff. A lot of our stuff is kind of educational or experimental, like what we're doing projects-wise. So every once in a while, the chickens do funny things, and the geese tend to do more often. So we tend to put that all together. No, I can't please everybody. I try. Whatever. You can only do so much. And the person who said the music was too loud still said they enjoyed the video. So, I'm glad they enjoyed it. Yeah, oh my gosh, Jeff, your video of your chickens your number 4 chasing your cat was hilarious. I did see that. And the geese are always like getting into things. Now here's a problem that I might have this week. I said I tapped some maple trees. I also tapped a walnut tree. And our only walnut tree is just outside of the Silky Run where I have Gus. And the issue there is I have the tap set up with the bag kind of hanging from a screw on the tree lower down. And it's right in the area where the Silkies and Gus are. So I'm wondering if it's going to get messed with, because geese get too curious and they like mouth everything, and I'm a little concerned he might pull the bag off. And everything that he gets his beak on, I guess, ends up in his water bowl or his pool. So I'm a little concerned about what might happen to that walnut tree tapping system. We'll have to see, and I'll see if I find that bag in the pool at some point. I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it on Instagram. It'll probably end up rotating through my little intro stuff that I do, my little slideshow that I do of pictures at the intro of my videos at some point, if that happens too. But geese are good watchdogs. They do poop a lot. But they are good watchdogs. In fact, just today, I was outside tapping trees. I was just starting to get everything together to tap the trees, and I heard this kind of screech overhead. It wasn't a full-blown red-tailed hawk screech. If you've ever heard those are the ones that you typically hear in Western movies. That's a red-tailed hawk. But it was a bit of a screech. It was shortened. And all the chickens and Lucky and Gus all went running for the coops and runs. All of them went running, except for a few of the pullets, who were in the middle of the yard dust bathing. They decided they'd rather keep dust bathing than go run for cover. I was outside. I looked up. It was circling overhead. There was a juvenile red-tailed hawk up there. It did not dive down, which I'm so glad, because I don't know what I could do about it. And eventually the younger ones ran in as well. And I didn't have my camera right on me at that moment, of course, so I couldn't get a video of all of that. But yeah, so that was actually kind of funny because the geese went running too. But I have found that when the geese go running, the chickens tend to follow them. I wish they would do that for me. Have you ever tried herding chickens? It doesn't work. They scatter. But you can herd a goose, and the chickens will follow the goose. So sometimes that works. Anyway, you tapped a sycamore. Didn't produce as much as a maple, but still works. Yeah, Stringfield Ridge, there's actually sugar maples. All the maples will give you a sap that you can use. The walnut will give you a sap that you can use. Sugar maples have the highest percentage of sugar in the sap, so you don't have to boil as much down to get to the syrup. So it's more 40-1 as far as going from sap to syrup, rather than some of the other types it might be like 60-1. So this is the first year we're tapping. We have our maple trees are a little bit smaller, so we have to do that. We can only do 1 or 2 taps on each tree. We have some that are a little bit bigger, some, but no real big ones, no real old ones. But we're going to try it and see how it goes. Just scrolling through here. Singleman, too loud is what volume control is for. Yeah, most computers do have a volume, and most phones do if you're watching that. But, you know, some people just don't like the music. And sometimes I do understand if they're trying to hear what you're saying and the music is as loud as your voice, it's not helpful. And that may have been the reason for the comment, because there were a couple parts in that where I was kind of explaining a little, well, I was reacting to what was going on But I debated taking the sound of my voice out, but I wanted the sound of the chickens in there, so can only do so much. Yes, Brown Coat Homestead, there is a survey on, and what is it? Is it the page that you can discuss things back and forth? It's either the Facebook page or group that will kind of go through what are your interests, so that we can make sure we cover some of those on the live shows, or at least rotate through those interests that different people have. And if I didn't miss it already, Yankee Living, good night. I know he said that a little bit ago, or he or she, I don't even know. That's the problem with, all these screen names. I don't know if you're a boy or a man or a woman half the time, or if it's a couple and I watch your channel. I don't know which one of you is on. Okay. Family Orton said her son lost a Mylar balloon and it got stuck in a tree today over the coop and freaked out the chickens. Thankfully it flew away. That's funny. Yeah, chickens do freak out if there's anything startling around them. Single man, we've had Cooper's hawks around here, and we've had red-tailed hawks around here, and I've never had a red-tailed hawk that I know of anyway come and take any of our chickens. I do suspect that we've had red-tailed hawks at my parents' house when I was growing up who may have stolen some of our cats, because we did see them swoop down, and they live in the middle of the woods, but they swoop down right into their yard and back up and out in the woods at times. So red-tailed hawks could very well get chickens. We have Cooper's hawks. I've seen them fly into our run. In fact, Mike a few weeks ago saw one fly out of the run, but all the chickens made it into the coop, including Lucky, who's not a chicken, but yeah, Lucky the goose made it into the coop. I don't think a Cooper's hawk would be smart to attack a goose, but my geese make a lot of noise, and they will help the flock run away or lead them in the running away, but they don't attack much. And it may be the breed. The breed is not specific to a guard breed. They are a meat breed. They're Emdens, but that's what I had locally available. And they do make a lot of noise. So if there is something threatening outside, they will sound the alarm big time, and they are loud. So that's kind of, and I haven't had any losses to aerial predators since getting them. I'm on the live show. Hi. My father-in-law just came up. Once in a while, an eagle. Well, I don't have any eagles here. We had more in New York. We had some bald eagles that would nest up and down the Hudson River. But I have not seen any in this area. The biggest bird I've seen, other than the biggest raptor, I guess, or predator I've seen would be the red-tailed hawks. Owls take the dumb smaller chickens that won't coop up at night. Yeah, owls, and there are some owls that'll take things during the day. If you watch Wholesome Roots, they had an owl issue that was barred owl that hunts during the daytime a little bit, but they had some crows that were chasing it off as well. I have known crows to take out smaller chickens or chicks. I highly suspect one took one of our silkies at one point, and we were outside, but we had gone for a walk and came back, and there were crows there, and of course they could have chased off whatever killed that silkie. But my neighbor down the road caught on camera, on their trail cam, caught crows dive bombing a mom with her chicks and stole a few of the chicks. So crows will attack chickens, smaller chickens or chicks. I don't think they'll go for a full-sized one. They're kind of opportunistic, so if they think they can get something easily, they'll go for it. Usually they eat things that are already dead. But crows can be a help, but they can go for the smaller or weaker animals in a flock as well. Singman, give an acre to see eagles there. I'll take that acre and take you to New York. No, I'm joking. I know, aim high. I don't mind crows so much, but you do, I mean, they eat meat. So usually it's already dead, but they will go for things that are smaller. Yeah, your barred rocks would be very camouflaged in the woods. In fact, actually my first year here, the first chickens I lost were to coyotes, I believe, midday. But partially because they left one dead one and it had a puncture wound, like fang wound. So something canine got them. Could have been a stray dog, but we don't have a whole lot of those around here. And we definitely have coyotes. In fact, we have huge coyotes. Like, I saw one midday crossing our backyard that was as big as a German Shepherd. It was a pair of them. One of them was almost as big as a German Shepherd, and the other was a bit smaller. So we definitely have coyotes. When the coyotes aren't around, we get red foxes, but the red foxes don't stick around if the coyotes are around. We definitely heard coyotes the other night really close too. But that's the reason why we have the poultry net, and we have that electrified again. So I do have that up and going. I was having, in early December, before our snow, I was having some problems with the electric poultry net not holding charge, or the energizer not holding the charge, and not giving a very strong zap, but it's working fine now, which is kind of interesting. Maybe it had to do with the shortened days. I don't know, but it's actually doing just fine now. I did get an extra battery for it, though. Okay, I'm just checking to see if I missed anything else. Red-tailed hawks do need a bit more room to swoop down in the woodlands than other types of hawks, but I was actually very surprised at the limited amount of room that, I mean, my parents have a decent sized backyard, but it's not completely clear, and they had a couple big walnut trees right off the back porch, and then it's probably a quarter acre clear, and they swooped right down. Now it's a little bit longer than it is deep, and they swooped down the lengthwise, but they have come down and back up in there. You've had fox problems, Stringfield Ridge Farm. Yeah, I have not noticed foxes. My neighbor had foxes stealing chickens a lot, like kept coming back. She free ranges her chickens, and has some perimeter fencing, but that's about it. But they would just jump over her fence. She had a number of foxes down there. One who had some babies last year. But she did note that whenever the coyotes returned to her area, which she's only like a mile and a half down the road, but whenever the coyotes returned to her area, the foxes disappeared. So they generally don't hang around where the coyotes are. The foxes are pretty. I do kind of like them. And coyotes I don't mind those predators. The hawks, they're pretty, they're gorgeous, but we do what we can to protect our flock as well. So that's where we go. On our property, we use the poultry net and we use the geese, and that has helped. You've seen coyotes and bobcat on the game camera for drone beam farms. Yeah. One with bobcat had a rabbit in its mouth. Yeah, wherever you have rabbits, you're going to have those, and we have a ton of rabbits around here. I have not seen bobcats around here, but I wouldn't be surprised. No, they're more East Coast, I thought, but I don't think we have them around here. But I have heard mention of a cougar. That's not multiple sightings of a cougar not far away. So that is another thing that I'm concerned about. And of course, cougars are big cats. I wouldn't want to be caught in the woods with one. They could take a person out. And we also have we don't have bears. I haven't seen bears on property, but it's not that far north where there's some bears. So that is another possibility if they move into this area. So our main predator is coyotes on the ground. We don't have too many raccoons. We've had possums. My Great Dane has taken out 2 possums over the last year. That came pretty close to the house. Now we need another Great Dane to take out more possums, but that's another matter. Hardly ever see them. Yeah, bobcats. Yeah, for some reason I thought they were more East Coast. I don't know where you're located. Are they in Michigan? That's my big question. It's so funny because growing up in the woods in Michigan, we never had any big predators. We had some foxes. I didn't grow up with chickens, so I didn't have that issue. But, we'd go walking in the woods all the time. We didn't worry about coyotes, and we didn't worry about cougars and things like that. So, and we are a bit over time, which we have 19 people in here. Okay. Noah's Ark said his dad doesn't catch fox in the live trap, mainly coons. Yeah, and in fact, I think if I were a little closer to the city in Kalamazoo, there would be more raccoons. They could be out in the country, absolutely. But I really just haven't noticed any raccoons. Possums. Today I felt like I got a slight, very distant whiff of a skunk, and that's another potential predator, but I haven't seen any, which is good, because my St. Bernard has been sprayed by skunks in New York. So, catch skunks in a live track, they eat your bees. Oh no, do they not get stung by them? I don't get those that can go in and steal honey without getting stung, or not feeling it, or whatever. Bees are another thing we will eventually do, but not this year. We're going to do some research. And my neighbor down the road who I was talking about does have bees, so I might actually try to get her to show me some, teach me a little bit about bees. I have some books that I need to look at, but need time. So, a raccoon is good eating. I've never eaten a raccoon. I would think they would be kind of full of parasites, but if you cook it up enough, that should be fine. I know people who eat possum as well, but haven't done that. Yeah, Stringfield Ridge, have a good night. I'll be wrapping up here. Orton family, do they eat larvae? Not sure what they were talking about because we've been talking about so many animals. I believe I heard that possums will keep the tick population down. I hear they eat those, but I'm not sure. But they'll eat chickens too, for that matter. Oh, okay. Oh, yes, the skunks who were eating the bees. They eat the grown bees at the entrance. Wow. Eesh. I don't know. I'm a little scared of bees. I'm scared of things that sting. That's probably not a bad thing, but yeah. Anyway. Okay. Missed something in there. Plant bee food as a trade for honey. Yeah. No, she is far enough down the road. I don't know how many of her bees would get down all the way to me. She has a couple orchards near her, so some apple orchards that are like right within a half mile of her property. So they probably go there for a lot of their nectar. And we do have tons of bees in our garden actually every year. A variety of times. Can't talk anymore tonight. A variety of kinds. From bumblebees to honeybees to everything. So we get a lot of wild bees. Yeah, I mean, they may come all the way down to our property, but they do have a lot of sources closer to them as well. But, because Aim High says they'll travel for miles. Absolutely. They could very well end up down here. There's a lot of people who have bees near their farms around. They do fly. Yes, they do. But anyway, I am going to... Do you want a beehive? Yeah. Do we want a beehive? eventually, we're probably not set up or knowledgeable enough to feel comfortable setting up for this season, but that is on our list. Herb of the week for next week. So for those of you guys who didn't hear, I'm still going to do herb of the week, but 3 out of the 4 weeks or 5 weeks, depending, 1 week a month, I'll do the medicinal side. But my herb of the week for most of the month, as we start getting busier and busier in the spring and summer, is going to be more identification of what's edible. So I haven't decided completely. We do have some things starting to grow already. And then we'll probably rotate the other topics through the week, but through the month. So next week I want to do a general Q&A about what we do, and I will post a place where you can ask questions on my Facebook page. I will put a little mini video up on so that you can put comments there for whatever you guys want to ask us, general Q&A, why we do what we do, or various aspects of it, anything along those lines. But we will do a plant identification herb of the week type thing. Haven't completely decided, although one thing I did see growing today was spring onions. So we have spring onions outside right now. So we might just go through that. I'm not going to do the full medicinal side of things. I'm going to, if you don't already know spring onions, I'll get some pictures of it. The other thing I might do, I haven't fully decided, so that's one possibility, but I might actually go through some of my other pictures from the season, from last season, and see if there's anything else we should put up as a plant identifier as far as what's edible in general. And if Mike's here, I'm pretty sure he'll be available next week, but I'll have to see because we have this big event on Saturday, so I think by Sunday we should be okay. But yeah, what we'll do is just on the webpage, it'll have a picture of whatever the herb of the week is and how to identify it and a little bit about it. But it takes me about 4 to 5 hours to really get a good in-depth research on pulling medical journal articles and going through all my books on traditional medicinal and stuff like that. If I have some of that, I might put it in there, but I'm just not going to go through and spend 5 hours on it. I don't have that sort of time, unfortunately, especially as we get into spring and everything gets busier. But I think plant identification is helpful, and that'll be more on the foraging aspect. So I'll keep some of that going once a week on the webpage, and we'll mention it. Probably a quicker discussion during the live show as well. And then maybe towards the end of the month, the 3rd or 4th week, I will do a medicinal one where I do research on that as well. Now, if you have specific requests for any, then let me know. But yeah, we are having time crunch issues at this point. So not a bad thing to have. We are busy. I work full time. My husband has his business that he's running. He's making pasta as we speak. So, and the big thing we have is he's got a big event next Saturday. He has a booth at the Why Not Festival, and he really needs to still make about 400 pounds of pasta. He has a lot made already, but he needs another 400 pounds to be able to have enough to take that to that event. And he needs to make it in the next 2 days so it has time to dry before Saturday and package before Saturday. So yeah, we're in a time crunch right now. But maybe we'll do the wild spring onions, and maybe we'll keep it seasonal. If we get another snow, which we very well had expected around here, like if we don't have plants available outside to work on what's out there right now, then I'll pull from my store of older pictures, and we could go through some of that. Jerome B. Farm, yes, time crunch, the edible kind. You dry your time to make it crunchy? No, I'm joking. Okay. Oh, thanks, single man. But yeah, 400 pounds of pasta in 2 days. Is it possible? I think the most he's done a day is about 150. So he's going to be working some hours in the next couple days. Just seeing if we missed anything else in here. Okay. No more snowstorms. Yeah. Well, Noah's Ark. If you no, did you buy a snowblower? Is that what we say? If Mike goes and buys the plow for in a plow truck last year, and we hardly had any snow. I think he used it twice, but this year he definitely used it. In fact, he was plowing out the neighbors and paid for his gas by doing that. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. I will be posting on our Facebook page. I will keep plant identification as a herb of the week in the meantime, so keep a lookout on our webpage, and we'll mention it in our live show. If you have questions, feel free to contact me at any of those locations. And if you want updates, like the quick little updates, I do that on Instagram. So little short videos or pictures, like of the chickens and stuff, go on Instagram. No more snow. Yes, I agree. I'm ready for spring. Yep. Don't forget the thumbs up. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for coming, and thanks to my moderator, Finite World. I think was the only one who stuck around today. Rose couldn't stick around. But have a good night. And Alderman Farms is live now too, so I shouldn't cut into their time anymore. But I will see you guys next week, 8 o'clock.